Hello again. I'm following with incredulity, mixed with a slight amusement, the accusations against Israel that by attacking military forces based in civilian areas, the Israeli army might be guilty of war crimes. Similar claims are made about some Russian actions in Ukraine. Can it really be the case that people's memories are so short that they've forgotten that British and American forces were bombing columns of refugees and hospitals in Europe just 25 years ago? It seems that memories are this short, so perhaps I can just remind folk what we were doing in a European country in 1999. On April the 12th, 1999, NATO airstrikes were carried out against a railway bridge in Serbia, hitting a passenger train and killing dozens of civilians. The RAF was involved. 2 days later, NATO aircraft bombed a column of refugees in Kosovo, killing 73 people. A week later, a refugee camp in Serbia was bombed. This was the year that the RAF dropped 500 cluster bombs on Serbia. I wonder how many people have seen the outrage expressed in recent months about the Israeli use of cluster bombs in Gaza and the idea being floated that this constitutes a war crime. Bombing refugees is also being described as a war crime. Here is what has happened in very simple terms. In 1999, Britain, America, and other NATO forces began bombing a European country and using cruise missiles against it, killing many civilians, including refugees. They bombed hospitals, railways, refugee camps, and the embassies of other people, other nations. In the course of this operation, the RAF dropped hundreds of cluster bombs. Nobody said a word, and nor did anybody describe these actions as war crimes. Now, 25 years later, we are demanding that other countries play by different rules and stop doing the things which we've been doing for years. I say for years because with the anniversary of D-Day coming up, it is worth reminding ourselves that although 3,000 Allied soldiers died on the first day of the landings at Normandy, just as many French civilians were also killed, and that they died at the hand of the British and American forces who had come to liberate them. In other words, when we landed on the first day of D-Day itself, we killed 3,000 French civilians by bombing and shelling them. A few days before D-Day, consider this. The worst casualty toll in Britain during the Blitz was that inflicted during the last major raid on London, which took place on the night of the 10th of May 1941. In a 24-hour period, 1,436 Londoners were killed. In France, the highest number of deaths in one day from air raids was more than double this. On the 27th of May 1944, a total of 3,012 French civilians were killed by bombing. Bombing, that is, by the RAF, who were supposedly hoping to liberate the French. I really don't think that the British are in a strong position if they wish to take the moral high ground about the bombing of civilians. This tendency to use aerial bombardment carelessly against civilians is not, as I say, an historical curiosity dating back just to the Second World War, but rather a policy which was still going strong in the late 1990s. We seem to have quickly changed the rules and think that we can now start denouncing others for a habit which we had for so many years. As usual, in the description to this video, I give one or two links which might remind people about the things about which I've been talking.